Adrian cornered her after first period on Monday, the determined but slightly nervous look on his face, forewarning her of his intentions. "Chelsea's bullied you into asking me to the prom, hasn't she?" she said bluntly. She liked Adrian, but she didn't exactly want to be a pity date. He flushed guiltily and shoved his hands in his pockets. "I probably would have got around to asking you anyway. I figured you'd be okay just going as friends." Annie didn't miss the subtle emphasis on the last word and smiled. "It's okay, Adrian. I don't have designs on you. There's someone I'd like to be going with, but he's not available." "I didn't know you were interested in anyone. Do I know him?" he asked curiously. Annie avoided answering the question directly. "He doesn't go to school here." "Oh, okay. So do you want to go with me?" "Yeah, that would be great." She looked at him sideways as she grabbed her next set of books out of her locker. "You kind of missed the boat on Chelsea, huh?" He shrugged and looked away. "I can't see us working out long-term anyway." Annie frowned as she watched Adrian walk away. She couldn't understand why he was so negative about Chelsea. He obviously liked her, but there were times when he also seemed to hate her. At lunchtime, Alex rang her. Just in case anyone caught a glance at the screen of her phone, she'd re-entered him as Xander, a contraction of Alexander that he'd probably hate if he knew about it. Excusing herself from the table where she was sitting with Chelsea, Michaela, and Caroline, she walked quickly out of the cafeteria, Chelsea's eyes burning a hole in her back the whole way. At least, that's what it felt like. Guilt at keeping Alex a secret from Chelsea was making her imagination run wild. There were 3 others at the party who weren't basketballers or cheerleaders, Alex reported. There were a lot of photos. "I didn't want to stay active for too long, but I've printed them all off so you can have a look later on and see if you notice anything I might have missed." "Cool." Annie leaned against the lockers near the cafeteria doors, attempting to suppress the stupid grin trying to work its way across her face. She loved the sound of Alex's deep voice. "Since Louise Kent was in every single photo and looked completely wasted, I think we can rule her out. Which leaves us with Jeff Larson and Gina McNaught." "Okay, I'll make an opportunity to talk to both of them," Annie said, getting back to business. Jeff sat across from her in biology, so he should be easy enough. And Gina was in drama group with Caroline and Chelsea, so she could probably ask Chelsea to do some digging. "There's one other thing," Alex broke into her thoughts. "We don't know who took all the photos, so that could be another person to consider." "You're right. I'll see if I can find out who everyone entrusted their phones to." "How's your day going?" Alex asked quietly. "Pretty standard. Aside from Adrian asking me to prom, so I guess I have a date now." There was silence on the other end of the phone for a moment, and then Alex spoke with forced cheer. "That's great! Adrian's a good guy. We know each other fairly well, so it shouldn't be too awkward." "Yeah. Look, I'd better let you get back to your lunch. See you later for training." And the line went dead. Annie drew the phone away from her ear and frowned at it. That was almost rude. What had she said to upset him? Maybe his memories of last year's junior prom were bothering him. Tucking her phone back in her pocket, she returned to the cafeteria. "Okay, spill." "Huh?" Annie hurriedly clicked away from the message she was writing to Alex before looking over at Chelsea, who had dropped into the chair beside hers. It was Wednesday, the only day they had a study break together. "You've been texting all the time lately and taking mysterious phone calls. I'm out of the loop and I don't like it," Chelsea huffed, her bottom lip sticking out slightly. "Have you and Adrian got something going on?" "No. You know I'd never step on your toes like that." Mollified on that score, Chelsea relaxed a little. "Well, who are you texting all the time?" "Just a friend," Annie said vaguely, shoving her phone back in her pocket in case Chelsea got any ideas of poking through it. "Of the male variety?" Chelsea asked dryly, clearly exasperated with the lack of forthcoming detail. Yeah, but it's not like that, Annie hurried to explain. Sure it isn't. That's why you're texting all the time, Chelsea rolled her eyes. Your face literally glows when your phone buzzes. You've definitely got feelings for this guy. Annie bit her lip. She couldn't deny the flutters in her stomach she got whenever she saw Alex, or the way she replayed their conversations while she was lying in bed at night. But she'd managed to avoid translating that into actual feelings, because it would complicate things, in a way she didn't think Alex was ready for. You really didn't know, did you? Chelsea was studying the rapid flow of expressions across Annie's face. Girl, you are so out of tune with your emotions. Annie blushed and looked away from Chelsea's all-too-knowing eyes. I don't want to talk about it. Why not? He doesn't go to school here, and we don't have that kind of relationship. Is he the reason why you always run out of school the second the bell rings? Annie's face heated even further. She shrugged awkwardly. He's my self-defense teacher, or more like personal trainer. Chelsea groaned and hit her forehead with the heel of her palm. I knew I should have signed up to classes with you. He's totally hot, isn't he? And I bet his body is super buff. Smiling at her friend's appreciation for good-looking guys, Annie thought of Alex's face, which definitely couldn't be described as hot. Nope, that's not it. Although he's ridiculously fit, so his body is probably pretty good. And I can definitely vouch for his biceps. Let me get this straight. Chelsea's forehead pleated in concern. You don't think he's good-looking, but you get this goofy grin every time he texts you. I don't get it. I can't explain it, Annie said helplessly. There's just something about him that I'm drawn to. Interesting. When do I get to meet him? Not anytime soon. Let's face it, you lack all subtlety, and I don't need you spilling my secrets. And while that wasn't the reason, it was definitely the truth. Humph. Chelsea crossed her arms grumpily, but she had no comeback. Did you get a chance to talk to Gina? Annie changed the subject before Chelsea asked any more questions Annie couldn't answer, like who her self-defense teacher actually was. Selecting a carrot stick from Annie's snack bag, Chelsea took a noisy bite and leaned one elbow on the table. Yes, but she didn't have much to add. She remembers Danielle being upset and saying she was going to go home, but she doesn't know who she left with. Damn, Annie muttered. I didn't get anything fresh out of Jeff either. How is everyone so unobservant? Chelsea shrugged. Most teenagers are pretty self-centered. If we'd been there, we might not have noticed anything either. I mean, it's not like anyone knew what was going to happen to her, so why would they pay special attention to her activities? You're right, Annie groaned and dropped her head in her hands. It's not up to you to solve Danielle's murder, Annie, Chelsea said gently. Maybe you should just let it go. I wish I could, Annie admitted. But the chances are pretty high someone at this school, someone in one of our classes, had something to do with her death. Chelsea shuddered feelingly. That's a horrible thought. It plagues me. Chelsea studied her thoughtfully before nodding her understanding. Then here's what we need to do. Everyone who was at that party is pretty much guaranteed to be at the Friday night basketball game, so we're going to be there too. Annie screwed up her nose. Really? I thought we were both in agreement when it comes to our loathing of sports. We are, but it will give us the perfect opportunity to observe everyone, see if anyone's behavior is off. I'm not guaranteeing we'll find out anything new, but it's worth a shot. Friday was the night she was staying at Alex's while Karen was away. It would make things a little more complicated, but Alex wouldn't mind if she ducked out for a couple of hours to attend the game. Okay, I'll pick you up. We probably shouldn't walk in the dark until our killer is caught. Cool, Chelsea grinned wickedly. It will also give me a chance to check out Steven's form on the court. And by form, I mean... I know what you mean. Annie rolled her eyes. The week had flown by, Annie thought as she drove to Alex's house on Friday afternoon. The two of them had gone through the stack of photos Alex had printed off, and while they hadn't been able to identify a potential perpetrator, it hadn't been a total waste of time. The photos had revealed a timeline of the night, and they'd been able to pinpoint approximately when Danielle had left the party, based on her absence from all photos after a certain point. They had also made a list of everyone who'd been in the photos in the early part of the evening, and another list of everyone who appeared in photos after Danielle's departure from the party. They'd cross-referenced the two lists. The only person missing from the second list was Samantha, who'd been picked up by her parents long before Danielle had left. Alex had also crossed their unknown photographer off the potential suspect list, since he or she had still been taking photos after Danielle had left the party, which left their potential suspects at a big, fat, frustrating 0. Annie was now just as eager as Chelsea to attend the game that night. She was planning to carefully observe the interactions of all the students who had attended the party in the hope that someone might be acting out of character. In amongst their sleuthing, she'd done a whole lot of exercise. Each training session she had with Alex was getting incrementally harder, but she was also steadily getting fitter and stronger, and her body wasn't as sore as it had been. But tonight, she was planning on letting Alex do all the work. She had finally convinced him to demonstrate the parkour and free running he'd been practicing. Nosing her car up to the gates in front of the Hamilton property, she punched in the 4-digit access code Alex had given her and, once the gates had gracefully swung open, she drove up the driveway and around the side of the house to where the garage was. Alex was standing in the open doorway of one of the garage bays and waved her through. Grabbing her overnight bag off the passenger seat, Annie jumped out of the car as the garage door closed behind her. "Hey." "Hey yourself." His crooked smile was completely endearing, Annie decided, the distortion from the scarring adding to its appeal rather than detracting from it. He was dressed in tracksuit pants, which hung loosely from his hips, and a tight white t-shirt. Gone were the usual jeans, which meant he was ready for the demonstration. Annie grinned and headed around her car to meet him. The car beside hers was a black, sporty number that she wouldn't mind taking for a spin around the block. Rounding the front of the car, she ground to a surprised halt. The bonnet of the car was crumpled, and one headlight was missing. She glanced at Alex in dawning understanding. "This is the car?" He nodded solemnly. "It's a reminder of what I did." She looked at him helplessly. Wasn't his face punishment enough? Did he really need to torture himself more? "I know what you're thinking," he said wryly. "But I used to look in the mirror and get so angry about what had happened to me. This reminds me of what I did to someone else, and how lucky I am it was an immortal witch I hit, and not a fragile human. It kind of puts my face into perspective." Annie sighed. Perhaps it was a good thing he'd learned to put the consequences of his actions ahead of his own tragedy. But she really did hope at some point he'd forgive himself and put the past behind him. Taking her bag from her, Alex led the way into the house, dropping it at the foot of the stairs before continuing on down to the basement. Parkour and free running, Annie decided an hour later, were incredibly beautiful to watch. Or at least they were when it was Alex doing the demonstrating. His movements as he climbed, jumped, and spun around the basement were fantastically fluid. He didn't pause to contemplate or set up a move, he simply did it, segueing gracefully from one thing to the next. At one point, as he planted his hands and his legs simply flowed between his arms, she thought he looked like a big cat, maybe a jaguar or a panther. "Wow, that was spectacular," she enthused, when he stopped and dropped down on the mat beside her. He'd barely broken a sweat, and she realized just how fit he must be. He grinned at the compliment. "It's fun. Want to try it sometime?" "Maybe," she surprised herself by saying. Her eyes opened wide. When had exercise become something more than a necessary evil? Alex nudged her shoulder and laughed at her expression, understanding instantly what was going through her head. It was uncanny how he did that. In a short space of time, he'd already come to know her better than her closest friends. "You will be careful tonight?" He didn't like that she was going to the basketball game without him. "I'm going on a stakeout," she teased. "I won't do anything heroic, and I'll only be observing anyway. Just promise me if you see anyone doing anything suspicious, you won't go off after them," he muttered urgently. "I don't want you getting caught in the middle of something, especially when we don't know exactly how that person could be involved." "All right, I promise," she agreed reluctantly. It wasn't that she was planning on getting herself into a sticky situation, but if an opportunity had presented itself for her to ask some leading questions, she had fully intended to take advantage of it. "And text me after the game when you're about to leave." Annie rolled her eyes. "Anything else, oh Lord and Master?" "I just want to make sure the popcorn's hot when you get back here," he protested innocently. "Uh-huh." Annie hadn't told Chelsea Karen was away for the night, because Chelsea would have wanted Annie to stay with her. It was an option Annie had considered when Alex and Karen had been ganging up on her on Sunday. But the truth was, she wanted to stay with Alex. Chelsea kept looking at her strangely throughout the game, and it was only when they were into the third quarter that she realized she probably stuck out like a sore thumb. She was so busy scanning the crowd and watching the benched players and cheerleaders, she kept forgetting to cheer in the right places. "You look completely out of it," Chelsea hissed. "Can't you at least try to look engaged?" "Sorry," she muttered guiltily. "I was a bit distracted. Not that anyone seems to be acting out of the ordinary." Chelsea shrugged. "It was a long shot anyway. Everyone, except you, is focused on winning this game so we can advance to the finals." "How's Steven doing?" Chelsea smiled dreamily. "He's playing really well. There's a college scout here tonight, so he's pulling out all the stops. And have you seen how big his biceps are?" Annie laughed and dutifully checked out Steven's arms, which she had to admit were fairly impressive, but not nearly as impressive as Alex's. Her gaze strayed to Brad, who had just landed a three-pointer and was high-fiving Steven. He swung around, and Annie could have sworn he winked at one of the cheerleaders on the opposing team. A cheerleader who had dark red hair. "Is it just me, or is Brad flirting with the other team's cheerleaders?" she whispered in Chelsea's ear. "He's been doing it all night," Chelsea murmured back, her voice bristling with resentment. "It's so disrespectful. It's like he's completely forgotten Danielle's existence." Annie started paying more attention to Brad throughout the rest of the game, and, sure enough, he continued to flirt with the little red-headed cheerleader. At one point, he casually scanned the crowd and caught Annie staring at him. He gave her a cheeky salute and a jaunty grin. Blushing furiously, she wrenched her gaze away. Chelsea chuckled evilly beside her. "At least his eyes are back on our side of the gym." The game finally ended, and Chelsea made a beeline for Steven. Spotting Adrian at the bottom of the bleachers, Annie headed in his direction. "I didn't know you were into basketball," she commented. "Who else do you think writes the sports reports for the news?" "I guess I hadn't really thought about it." She looked around for Chelsea, suddenly feeling awkward around Adrian. "I don't usually come to the games." He nodded. "I know. Did Chelsea bully you into coming along?" "Not exactly. But she needed someone to come with, didn't she? So she could ogle the latest man of the moment," he said sourly. Exasperated, Annie threw her arms wide. "Why don't you just talk to her, Adrian? The two of you have made this into such a drama, and it doesn't have to be." Adrian shot her a filthy look. "Take a good hard look at Steven, Annie, and then look at me. Who do you think she's going to pick?" It was true that with his dark brown hair, caramel-colored eyes, and muscled body, Steven was superficially better looking than Adrian. But Adrian wasn't unattractive, and he had a sharp mind, which Annie was pretty sure Stephen was missing. Chelsea will get bored with Stephen. She never gets bored of you. Looking down at the ground, he shrugged awkwardly. Maybe. She patted his arm affectionately. The good guy always wins the girl in the end. Chelsea came bouncing up beside them and punched Adrian in the shoulder with a wide grin. Hey, Ads. Good game, huh? Yeah, he muttered without looking at her. Stepping around both girls, he strode quickly out of the gym. What's with him? Chelsea asked huffily. Annie threw her friend a reproachful look and quickly knocked off a text to Alex to let him know she was on her way. You know how he feels about you, Chels. Did you think he would enjoy watching you go all gaga over Stephen? But, she started to justify herself indignantly, then her shoulders slumped. He never does anything about it. We have classes together. We work on the paper together. How long am I supposed to wait for him to ask me out? It was a fair point. He's insecure because you always date good-looking guys. Only because they're the ones who ask me out. Chelsea trailed after Annie towards her car, gesticulating wildly. If Adrian had asked me to prom, I would have said yes in a heartbeat, but he didn't ask and Stephen did. Did you know I made him wait for a week before giving him my answer because I was hoping Adrian would ask me? Annie's head snapped around towards Chelsea. You never said. Well, I have my secrets too, Chelsea said pointedly when Annie's phone vibrated with an incoming text. Annie unlocked the car and they both climbed in. She drove forward through the empty space in front of her and joined the small queue of cars slowly exiting the school grounds. A deputy had been placed at the exit gate and was scanning each car's occupants before waving them on. Why don't you ask him out? I know you think I'm really out there and forward, but I'm kind of old-fashioned about this one thing. I like the guy to do the chasing. She crossed her arms over her chest. Besides, it's not like I haven't dropped about 100 hints. True, Annie acknowledged with a rueful smile. Old-fashioned Chelsea may be, but she certainly wasn't subtle. Any other helpful suggestions? Annie shook her head regretfully. Nope, I'm not exactly an expert at this kind of thing, so that's it from me.